Hi, we'd like to welcome you to another in a series of webinars designed for ports and maritime authorities. I'm Terry Bills. I'm the Transportation Industry Manager here at Esri, and today I'm joined by Matt Gibson, who's an account executive on our ports team, and Eric Rodenberg, who's a solution engineer, also on the ports team. So today's webinar is focused on how you can bring location intelligence to bear on to make your port safer and more secure. We're going to show you a number of great examples. So before we begin, I'd like to point out that we are recording this webinar, and while everyone will be on mute, there'll be an opportunity to ask questions and get answers at the end of the presentation. So you can type your questions into the question box, and we'll answer as many as time allows. So with that, let's go ahead and let's get started. I'd like to begin with what, from our perspective, sort of a common set of port security challenges. And most ports have a variety of sensors and different technologies, all designed to help them address port security, port safety. The problem is that these are often unfiltered. That means that they're simply just raw feeds that are coming in. And in essence, what we really have is an overload of all of these multiple sources. And secondly, each one of these are a separate system. And not only do we have those siloed systems, but we really have siloed business units. We have sometimes a city police, a port police, a fire, Coast Guard. We often have terminal operators will have their own security. So in essence, what we have are these different business units that are quite often uncoordinated, and each with their own siloed systems. And so when we bring those two together, in essence, what we have created is, in effect, a lack of effective situational awareness. I really do not have that kind of 360-degree real-time view of everything that's going on in my port. And so as a result, if there is an incident or if there is something that we need to respond to, quite often it results in a inefficient, or I guess what we might call a non-optimal response. And so all taken together, the real need is how do we bring those multiple technologies together in a way that gives us really an intelligent framework, that situational awareness, so that we actually have real-time operational intelligence. When we look at the wide variety of technologies found on the most modern ports, everything from intrusion detection, and that can be both physical as well as cyber intrusion, access control systems, alarms, CCTV cameras, enterprise badging, including TWIC, and then typically we have a fire or even a security computer-aided dispatch. We have live vehicle and asset tracking. We have AIS and in many cases ground-based radar to give us live vessel feeds, cargo screening, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. So we have many individual disparate systems with the problem that unfortunately many sort of control systems look like this. We really have to, we're having to look at many different monitors at once, and that's really not ideal. That's not efficient. That's really, and the real problem is that the ability to integrate and fuse that information, but also, and I use the language from the Port of Long Beach, they said you really have to filter and focus. And how do we focus on what's critically important, and how do we filter out all of the other noise that we don't need to pay attention to. So that helps set the stage. I think that sort of helps describe the situation in most ports. And so I'd like to turn it over now to Matt, who's going to describe how location intelligence can help you address those issues. So Matt, over to you.
Thank you very much, Terry. This is Matt Gibson, and I'm excited about being able to share this information with you. If you think back to the last webinar, we talked about how to do GIS, and that's not the focus today. We're talking about how a business unit or a department, specifically the port security departments, can utilize your work or utilize GIS in their role. For the last couple of months, Eric and I have been talking with dozens of port security teams throughout the country and world, and we have found that security at a port means different things for every different port. Ports are very unique in their capabilities and their expertise, and also the way the security is made up. We did see a couple of trends that there are two major categories that port security usually works in. And one of those, the day-to-day operations, ensuring the perimeter is secure, doing inspections, informing others, taking care of incidents when they arise. Unfortunately, there are times that incidents occur that are rather more emergency management related, and you have to start working with entities that are outside of the port ecosystem. So if we look at this in a slightly different way, you can see that these departments inside of the port, they handle day-to-day activities and making sure the port's running excellent. And they could benefit by being able to leverage information from each other. Certain the port security would love to have that close relationship with tenant security and customs, but also in port operations, knowing where the heaviest operations are going to be for the day, being able to coordinate and collaborate with the maintenance and engineering. So when they do send in a repair request or an inspection form, knowing that it gets acted on. When those dramatic events happen and people outside of the port need to work with the port security team, then there are other entities that are showing up to help. And how do you effectively use their resources to the best of your ability? A lot of it is around communication, being able to share with them your unique information about where your assets are, where your people are, etc. Great thing is we're going to be sharing with you today how we can bring all this information into a common operating picture, and you can leverage that when needed with those entities and share it with them outside of the port. Eric's going to provide a demonstration in just a moment, and I hope you see that through the use of GIS, you're able to enhance the command and control. You can actually communicate better or more effectively because you can take the applications into the field with you. You can receive in real time and a ton of additional information. That additional information is going to help complete this strategic picture and see everything in one place. Eric, do you want to take it away for a demo?
Thanks, Matt. All right, let's go ahead and all right. So you're looking at a series. You're looking at the security and operations solution, and I'm going to do this demonstration. I'm going to play a couple of different roles. I'm going to play the role of Sophia, who is the facility security officer, and I'm going to play the role of a security officer who is out in the field, responding to incidents and just performing various security related tasks. I'm going to do this demo. The setting is Port Tampa. This isn't a real situation. It's a fictitious one. But the solution, the security and operations solution, is a suite of configurable applications that I'm going to show. And all the applications work together to help a facility security officer manage the security operations at a port. And when the facility security officer comes in the morning, they see a website much like this one, with all their different applications. And since they're logged in, the app knows who they are and what applications they have access to. You can see Sophia is logged in up at the top right, and we see all the apps she has accessible to her. But if we just scroll through this main page, you'll notice I can search for data. I also have some statistics about what is happening at the port, the number of planned events, the number of berth vessels, the number of security tasks that are on the docket for today. I also see the security operations, daily operations brief. And what this shows me are all the known planned operations that are gonna happen. And what's great about this app is I can really share it with anybody at the port. Anybody in the port of Tampa could have access to this, or any port for that matter, could have access to this application and use it to see what's been planned. And there are various types of events that are happening. Here we see the governor's coming later this week. The Coast Guard's going to be conducting a dive operation, and then there's going to be some lot maintenance. And I can click on each one of these items. It zooms me in, it shows me the pop-up and gives me all the details about what is happening. I can also update the record. So if something changed, I can go in and I can modify it, being that I am the director of security. So I have that ability to do that. Not everyone would have that, but I do. In addition, I can see things like lot maintenance that's going to be happening. So we see that lot 71 is going to be repaved and it's going to be closed for 2 days. So this just gives everybody at the port a high-level overview of what is happening that's known. However, we know that not everything is planned. We also have unplanned events. And to see that 360-degree view that Matt and Terry talked about, I'm going to click on the next app, which is my operations page. And in this application, again, a configurable application, we see all the different things going on at the port. Now we start to see the bigger picture. We see traffic. You see all those same planned events I just pointed out a moment ago. I see security tasks that have been assigned to my security officers. If any damage has been reported, I see that. You also notice you see all my security officers, and they're actually moving around. I can see them moving around on the panel. And as I scroll through this list, I can see all of them, plus I see all of my partners. I see the Coast Guard is moving around conducting operations, and I see that the Hillsborough County Sheriff is also conducting operations. So what we've done is we've made it possible to bring your partners in and allow them to share their location with you as well. So not only can I see where my own officers are, but if my partners are willing to participate, we can get access to where they are as well, so that when an incident that's unplanned occurs, we know where everyone is and who can respond and who maybe can't. In addition, you see my automated identification system. This is showing all of our vessel traffic. So if we click on the Progresso here and we zoom in, we see some pop-up information. But if I zoom in a little tighter, you're also going to see the ship footprint. So not only do we see the ship location, but we see the footprint it occupies at the dock and what that looks like. And it's going to come into play later on when we do some operational work. But this shows me just the breadth of all the different data sets that we've aggregated together in one view. And that's really what I wanted to highlight here. In addition, I see Waze alerts. I see traffic from here. The Here traffic service with the worldwide traffic service. I see Waze delays. And the reason I bring all this up is the port is disconnected. You've got a couple of sections of the port that I have to drive out and around. So we see our Hillsborough County Sheriff's officer is actually driving down that way now. And to get down to the Pendula Point, they have to drive out and around. So I like to know what the traffic is, if I've got to send maintenance people, or if I've got to send security people, or we've got to do some kind of inspection. We like to know what the traffic's like. In addition, you see cameras. So on these camera feeds, I'm able to actually zoom in to any location. I can click on a camera and I can see what that camera is reporting. What's unique about these cameras that you're seeing is their ability to not only show me what they're seeing, but these cameras are being fed through artificial intelligence. And you'll notice that this photo that was in that smaller view a moment ago has outlines around each vehicle. So we've used artificial intelligence through an ArcGIS notebook that runs every 2 minutes against the traffic feed and is updating it. And what it's showing here is it's doing an identification on each object, and it's counting the objects. Specifically, I'm counting trucks. And if we're in a really busy moment in time, we're able to see why there's so much activity and get people routed down, perhaps security officers, to help get the traffic moving. So we can use this data to help us alleviate the traffic and actually get it moving again. And you can see here as I scroll through, I can scroll through multiple cameras. You can see the outlines of things that are counted. And as the traffic starts to build up really heavy, you can see these photos. It's not really heavy at the moment, but as it does build up, the color of the camera will change to indicate, hey, you've got an issue here with the traffic, the amount of traffic that's at this gate. I'm also bringing in data from our partner Skyline Technologies. If we zoom out a little bit here, you're going to see the Maritime Boulevard, Gaddix Drive streaming traffic feed. So I'm bringing in this traffic feed from Skyline. They can basically take any camera and any streaming camera and convert the feed to a H.264 format, which just about any browser can read on any device. So I can read this on a browser, on a smartphone, on a tablet, and I can see exactly what's happening in real time. I could also pass through those AI algorithms and do counting of people, vehicles, trucks, trains, whatever it may be that you're pointing the camera at. We can point it at something and look to identify what it is. And we have Esri technology that can do that, but we also have partners like Vision 3 that can also do that counting, and Matt will show you an example of that later on.
Hey, Eric, I just want to pause for a second. So everything you've shown us up to the point of the artificial intelligence is all configurable, correct?
That's correct. That's correct, Matt.
And only that AI component is the only customization that has been required. So powerful stuff using COTS technology.
Yes. Yes. All right. So moving forward, I want to show you now how we can manage active incidents. And so to do that, I'm going to click on the Security Incidents tab. And this is going to take me to ArcGIS Mission. And if you're not familiar with ArcGIS Mission was built to allow security teams to manage an incident as it occurs. Now, as you know, every day is a mission. Every day brings about new activities, new incidents that occur, and being able to know where my people are, what they're doing, when they're doing it is absolutely critical. And you can see here on the left, I want to point out, we can see all my security members. If they're using their mobile device, we can see when they're connected. And I also have this broken down by my teams. So I've got my command center team, I've got my port police team, I've got the sheriff's department team, and I've got my Coast Guard team. So all my teams are carrying the mission responder app, and we're able to see them moving around on the screen. And I'm able to actually allow them to interact with me. They can send me text messages. However, I can just as easily call on the radio, but I can message directly to my security officers. They can message to me, and they can message to each other right through their phone. So I have the ability to send messages. We also have the ability to create tasks. So I can create a task list for each of my officers every day when they come in. So as a supervisor, I can define what work they're going to be doing and when they're going to be doing it. And as incidents do occur, those officers and even myself, we can file reports. And those reports can be customized to meet the needs of your department. So if you've got a specific form, like if an accident were to occur and you had a special form for accidents, we can create the custom form for that. If you have an arrest report or you have a situational report, all those different reports can be customized and brought into Mission to support your workflow. all of this data has geographic footprints behind it and breadcrumbs. So as we create tasks, those tasks have locations. As we create reports, those have locations. And we can also create messages that have location associated with them as well. So we can go back and actually play a mission after it happened. I can go back in time. So you can see right now I am live. If I wanted to, I could go back to, say, last Sunday the 10th. And this would show me everything that happened over the course of time between now and last Sunday the 10th. If I wanted to see everything that just happened on the 10th, I can just change this to the 10th and the 11th, hit apply. And now I'm looking at everything that might have happened over the course of the 10th and 11th. And what you'll notice here, my tasks have gone away because they haven't been assigned yet. But if I clear this and I go back to live, now my tasks reappear showing everything that's happened after the up to right now at this moment. So the great thing about Mission is not only does it show you where all your people are, not only does it keep a breadcrumb trail inventory of everything that's done, I can go back in time and I can see what was done. And I can also get lists of events while I was gone. So when Sophia logs off and she comes back in the morning, a list of every recorded event that occurred over the time she was gone would be waiting for her in this list. So she can see everything that's happened. On my mobile device, so let's switch over here. All right. You should see my phone pop up here in just a moment. On my mobile device, I'm going to launch the Mission Responder app. And when I launch the Mission Responder app, I'm going to go right into my port security and operations. And you see my symbol is green, indicating that I'm online. And we see my map. So I see at the bottom of my screen, you'll notice there's a red badge with a 3, and that badge indicates that I've got tasks. So I can see my tasks, and they're organized in order of criticality. So I've got some low-level tasks in yellow, and then I've got one that's a moderate level. And anything critical or of high importance is going to be red or dark red, indicating how important it is. So I'm going to start my day doing gate operations. So I'm going to just go into that first task, and I'm going to mark it as in progress. And you notice the task symbol changes from gray to green. I could leave some notes. I don't need to do that here. It's a high priority task, but it's not critical. So we'll go ahead and we'll just update this. And now it shows up as green on the map. And so I see what's going on. And as I mentioned earlier, if I needed to leave a message for someone, I can send messages back to the command center. I could send messages to my colleagues who are in the field, but everything I need is right here on this app. And along with my work list for the day and all of my tasks. So now I'm gonna stop mirroring my phone for a moment. And I'm gonna bring Mission back. And you'll notice here in Mission, when we open this up, you see that task that I started on my phone is now green, indicating that it's active. And as I make changes, as I go through my work list and I mark things as complete, those things will show up in this work list as complete. If we jump over to the operations panel where we were earlier, I'm gonna go ahead in my phone. You can't see what I'm doing here, but I'm gonna mark this as completed. I'm going to update this task. And if we go looking in the security tab, it's no longer listed because I've completed that task. So anything that gets completed leaves the security tasks. And when I go back to security incidents, I can see all those details in my task list. So the app is reloading, and you'll notice here when we go into my task list, you'll see those 3 tasks. 2 of them are gray. 1 is green, indicating that it has been completed. So I can click on this task, I can open it up, and I see that the task is marked as completed now. So I can track everything my officers are doing. I can even add new tasks. So let's take a look at how that would look. So if we go into my base map, I'm going to change the base map to the streets map temporarily, the nighttime streets. And let's go create a new task. So we'll cancel that. We'll click on, let's get rid of this base map. Let's click task. So I'm going to add Eric, and you see now I'm going to assign this task to Eric. We got a report of a suspicious person. The Progresso reported a suspicious person climbing up on the docks at Studebaker Road. So the Progresso is just off screen here slightly. If I pan up a little bit, we can't do that right now, but I'll go ahead and fill this in, this list. So we're going to create the title, some text. So the captain of the Progresso called into the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard called me. We're going to assign this. We're going to set the priority to critical, and we're going to set the due date to today. I'm going to create it, and now a critical task gets added to Eric's workload. So now let's go back to my phone. And on my phone, I'm gonna just refresh the app. And you see the suspicious person is in red. So it's been added to my work list. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go to mark this as in progress and update the task. Now, let's just say for our purposes, we were able to apprehend the suspect. So I'm going to go ahead now. I'm going to mark where I apprehended the suspect using the reporting tool. So I'm going to log a report. I'm going to use a defined custom report location. So there's my report location. And now I'm going to fill in some information about this. So suspicious person apprehended. And then in the notes, I'm going to mark up some additional information. Suspicious person was apprehended and is in custody. They were found inside the secured property of Satco Sulfuric Acid Trading Company. The suspect was seen tampering with storage facility equipment, and liquid is leaking from the pipes at a high rate. The fumes from the liquid burn the nose, mouth, and throat. I'm evacuating the area and requesting hazmat support. All right, so now, done. Let's get rid of so now. All right, now I'm gonna upload an image, and I could take this from my camera, or I actually have one in the gallery here. Here's a picture of a storage tank leaking acid, so we'll go ahead and we'll choose that. And now I'm gonna submit this report. All right, so now the report's been submitted. Let's go ahead and let's stop sharing my phone. And let's bring this off. All right, now I'm just gonna refresh the screen here, and so this app is gonna refresh momentarily, and what you'll notice is that the task for apprehending the suspect is in progress, and we should also see a report appear on the map indicating, yep. So if we look in the task list, we see that the suspicious person is actually in progress. And if we go to the reports tab, we see that the suspicious person was apprehended. And if we zoom to this, I can pop up the information about what was captured. So we see all the information I just passed in from the mobile device. I have a photo here as well. all together in one place with basically with the breadcrumb trail of everything that happened. So what we responded to, how we responded, all that information's been captured. Now, I've taken you through a couple of different scenarios with mission. What I want to do now is show you how we can take the information that we just learned here about this storage tank and apply this to threat analysis. So what's the actual threat? So I'm going to jump over to the threat analysis tab. And in the threat analysis tab, we can do some modeling. Specifically, I can do hazmat map modeling with the emergency response guide. So for those of you who are familiar with the emergency response guide, this will allow me to run the scenario of the sulfuric acid incident. And you'll notice here, all the same data has been preloaded into the map. So not only do I see the tasks, but I see the report and the location of the report. So I know that location now. I'm going to just zoom out a little bit here because I want to pull in my weather sensors. And what's interesting here about these weather sensors is they're reporting 2 different wind directions. So we can model this 2 different ways, but let's go ahead and run this. So I'm going to turn on the emergency response guide. I'm going to set my location to the report that was filed. And I'm going to type in the code 1830 for sulfuric acid. And you'll notice here the little PDF icon. If I click on that, this is going to open up the emergency response sheet, the material sheet that tells me how to handle corrosive material. So everything I need to know about material getting on the skin or clothes, or a large leak, a fire, all that's included here. So I know how to respond. Next, I'm going to select sulfuric acid. We're going to make this a large spill based on what our officer shared with us in the field. I need to know the direction the wind is blowing in, so let's move my dialog here and let's click on the wind dial, and we see it's blowing to 310 degrees. And it's a daytime spill. So now let's create our zone, and in just a matter of a few seconds, we have the zone, the data that we need in order to do the isolation. So again, if I needed to, I could run this again on the second wind direction, or I could look at some of my other wind dials and I can see which direction they're blowing in, and maybe that's the predominant wind direction that we need to go with. But regardless, you can run this multiple times. And now I'm gonna publish this as a layer because I need to use this to do some further analysis. And we'll go ahead and we'll publish. And once the layer's published, now I want to do some further analysis. The burning question I have now is how many people would be impacted. The thing about this particular weather vane and the direction it's blowing in, the reason I am somewhat concerned, this is a residential area on this island next to the port. So I'd like to know how many people are impacted. So now that this layer is published, I'm going to go to my analysis button. And from the analysis button, I'm going to do some geo-enrichment with census data. So we've got the sulfuric acid spill. I'm going to click select variables, and I want population 2020 and 2025, which is an estimate. And then we're going to scroll over to population totals, and I'm specifically interested in daytime population totals of workers and residents. So I've got 5 variables here selected. I want to apply these. And what is going to happen next is these are going to get aggregated into that zone of isolation polygon that we created, the polygon we created here a moment ago in the ERG. So now, once this is done, we will have census totals. And when we start working with hazmat and Tampa Fire, Tampa Police, we'll have a general idea, a pretty good idea of how many people could be impacted. And we are kind of concerned about daytime totals because we do know with COVID, people may be working from home, so we're not totally sure. So now when I click on the polygon, there we go. So when we click on the polygon, we see all my information about population 2020, population 2025. This is in the area around the port, so there aren't very many people here per se. Roughly, we have as few as 5 up to 22. Plus, we have all of our vessels that are in the zone of isolation. And in the area, in the protective action zone, this is the area downwind, we have quite a few people. So you can see here we have as few as 580 or 467 up to as many as 1,051 that we need to think about when we start doing evacuations and getting people to safe areas. So all this information provides me actionable data that I can now share with all my partners. And since my partners have access to this data, to these apps, they can see the same things I'm producing. We can share this data securely with them. In addition, I can also run bomb threat analysis. So here we have the ability, and I'm not going to do this here, but we have the ability to model different types of bomb threats. So we have lots of different tools to allow us to model these types of activities and these types of incidents that we have to respond to, so that everyone knows what's going on and how they're going to respond when the time comes. Matt, that's all I have. I'm going to pass it back to you.
Yeah, Eric, I love the fact that you brought in so many different types of information. You were able to do analysis on that information and then share it with the others in the port, partners, et cetera, that may need to know about it. So thank you for that. I want to highlight some of the technologies that we utilized in building this. And it's not just Esri technology. I'm really talking about our partner ecosystem. So one of the benefits of being an Esri customer is not only do you have great resources to help you get started, like last month when we talked about the templates, but you also have the resources inside the marketplace. And some of the partners that are working with us closely, these are just the data providers that we used in this demonstration. You heard Nearmap. Nearmap has some amazing imagery and it's updated rapidly throughout the year. Some really robust stuff, and we're using it in this demonstration, and we're also getting ready to show off our port operations demo, in which we're using it there as well. Our partners at Spire have been using satellite-based AIS and terrestrial-based AIS to do some amazing stuff, and you can see how we're feeding that data directly into the ArcGIS system. What I also like is they're continuing to develop, and they've got some amazing stuff when it comes to weather, doing localized forecast, being able to see a particular vessel that's coming to the port and what kind of weather are they expecting. Some really fascinating stuff. You can find more information there, and of course they are on the Esri marketplace. Eric shared the video AI and also talked about Vision 3 and their tool. So there are two different ways you can go about using camera as a sensor, and the AI requires training a model, and we have services and partners that can help jumpstart that effort. Or the Vision 3 uses a different technology, their way of going about it. What I like about these guys, it is incredibly great stuff, and it can be more of a turnkey solution, so they can help you get going fast with that. And you can see the video playing on the right, how it's streaming that data onto the map. It's really, really cool. In addition, Eric mentioned Skyline, and Skyline's got a really cool story map. There's the image on the bottom right, but just about any camera, whether it was installed back in 20 years ago when the first port security grant came out, or if it's going to be installed next week, they have like a Swiss Army knife of being able to take that data and make it all mesh together. So being able to, any camera, any network, any device. really cool solutions. And it too is based on a user type. So you were seeing Sophia, and she had a lot of permissions, and the user roles help ensure the security of the data that the port security is collecting, sharing, and analyzing. But Terry, I'll hand it back to you to cover any questions or other things. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, both Matt and Eric. So we'll open it up now for questions. As we mentioned, you can type your question into the question box, and we'll get underway. So the first question actually has to do with, you mentioned the ability to track the security employees. There's a question about what types of devices do those people have to have? So in essence, what type of device can you track you know, in the system? So Eric, you want to cover that one?
Yeah, sorry, I'm talking and I'm on mute. So out of the box, Mission Responder works with iOS and Android. And the Mission Responder app has the tracking capability baked into it. So for those of you who are familiar, we have a product out there called ArcGIS Tracker. That product has been baked into the Mission Responder mobile app. So that's allowing the tracking to take place. Now, the tracking itself can be done over cellular or peer-to-peer communications. So Mission does support peer-to-peer communication network, so you could be responding over closed channel, working over closed channels as well as over cellular. So
Eric, the Mission Responder, you know, when we talk about the licensing aspect, it's at no cost with a named user. So if you've got your people have their identity in the ArcGIS, then they can leverage that technology.
Correct, and that technology again is available on iOS and Android.
Okay, and so if somebody wanted to sort of get started with really sort of creating this, so what would be the best way to sort of get started? If did they, what Esri technology did they need to have, and how can they get going?
So we're leveraging, Matt, if you want to jump in, feel free. But we're leveraging multiple technologies. I'm specifically leveraging ArcGIS Enterprise, and ArcGIS Enterprise is providing me with the enterprise site that we started with at the very beginning of the demo. So when I started out on the main page, that was an enterprise site web page. Then we moved into an operations dashboard, or an ArcGIS dashboard, and then I showed Mission. And ArcGIS Mission is a component of ArcGIS Enterprise. It is a component that slides into ArcGIS Enterprise just like an image server or a geo event server. So it is for our managing of real-time security incidents. And then I showed the threat analysis was all done with Web App Builder. And one of the apps I didn't show, planned events, where I actually you saw the events already created, but the events were created using Experience Builder and Survey 123. So I have a form where I can create those events. So it's most of the technology comes with ArcGIS Enterprise. The one or two components of this that don't are the Geo Event Server, which is providing me the Waze data and the Spire ship locations, and then the other component that would be extra is ArcGIS Mission. So Mission and GeoEvent are plugging into ArcGIS Enterprise to provide the whole solution. We can help you install it. As I mentioned, it's all configurable. So it's certainly something that users can build themselves, but we can also provide professional services and help you get started if this is something that you want to get started quickly.
Yeah, Terry, I'd just add that I think the best way to get started is a conversation. So Eric described a lot of different technology and capabilities, but think back to the fact that every port is unique, and every port security department has a unique task and role and mission of their own. So we can, through a conversation, help identify what your environment looks like, what your goals and mission that you've been assigned to is important, and what technology would best suffice for that. But like Eric said, we've got the Jumpstart and professional services. We have a great ecosystem of partners, and we can help that. But I'd start with a conversation.
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt. And
So, yeah, go ahead.
Terry, one last thing to add. All the parts are plug and play. So everything I showed, if there are components that don't necessarily work for you, or something you didn't see here that, man, you think would really fit in, those, again, that's part of that discussion that Matt mentioned. So that conversation. So just throw that out there.
All right, so that's really sort of a perfect segue. We have a question from a systems integrator. They said, does Esri enable systems integrators to develop their own turnkey systems to address specific user requirements with this technology, which may blend other technologies?
So
Eric,
Matt, you want to take this one, or you want me to take it? The answer is yes. I mean, we
Yes.
certainly are happy to talk to systems integrators and work with them on how they can take what we've built and turn that and augment that with their solutions or other third-party solutions, certainly.
Yeah, the answer is yes. I mean, we have a partner ecosystem because we've been asked to do something and overcome a challenge, and so together, yeah, we'd be happy to figure out how we can do that.
And that was really the point in showing the integrations we've done with Spire, how we're using Nearmap. And I know I didn't really expand on this in the demonstration, but the base map imagery you're seeing of the port, that base map imagery you saw of the port was using Nearmap's 5 centimeter imagery. So, I mean, we're using that, we're using Skyline, we're using Vision 3, all those things together, that we really wanted to highlight that this is a team effort, and there are lots of technologies that could apply to this type of solution.
So, and to sort of enforce the sort of the machine vision technology, the machine learning, that really can be trained to identify any type of anomalous behavior within the port, correct? I mean, you were showing it just for the identification of vehicles, but in fact, that could be programmed to look at any number of different types of events or scenarios or anomalies, correct?
Yeah, Terry. We've heard a couple of different scenarios in our discussions with security, facility security officers. One of them is, hey, I want to know when stuff is happening in areas that there is no activity. Like if the cameras detect people where there aren't supposed to be any people at that time of day, I want to know about it. And yeah, the answer is yes. We can track any kind of anomaly, provided we can train the machine learning tools to do it. And all the technologies out there, and by and large, a lot of the technology to do it is free. You might need some programmatic know-how though to make it all happen. And like Matt said, Esri can provide those services, or we have lots of partners out there that can also provide varying types of services, from Vision 3, which is practically turnkey, to some others that would be programmatic as well.
Okay, and I did want to sort of, I know that you both sort of talked about it, but I did want to re-emphasize that just about everything that you saw in the demonstration is actually just a straightforward configuration. That is, it is taking off-the-shelf technology and with almost no customization. As a matter of fact, the only customized part was really the machine vision, machine learning component. All of the rest of it was simply just a configuration to potentially the user's requirements. Is that, and so maybe you can, just kind of maybe speak to the advantages of being able to use, sort of off-the-shelf technology. Why would somebody, why is that important to a user?
So, yeah, great question. So one of the things that we always get asked is, especially by our users, is if I want to make a change to this, do I have to call Esri and get spend $10,000 and get a change order written to get something added? The answer is no. You once the apps are configured and deployed, we hand the keys to you, and if you build it yourself, you have control of the keys, and you go in and you make the changes you want to make. 5 minutes up to this demo, I was tweaking things, symbology, and tweaking pop-ups, and everything about these apps are configurable. So the benefit is, if I need to tweak something, if I need to make a change to something, I go in and I make the change through configurable apps that have wizards or have a user interface that's intuitive and easy to make a modification.
Yeah, Terry, just from the business side of things, the time to market is incredibly different from being able to configure a COTS app like what we did. That's incredibly fast, and it's also going to work. The interoperability of it is easy to manage and easy to know about. Compare that to doing a complete custom job from the ground up. Time to market is going to be vastly different. The cost of investment is going to be different. Being able to use drag and drop configurations versus writing lines and lines of code, that's a dramatic different level of effort. And we know that port security teams, they have a mission they have to go execute. The port is not always there to write code, and so we are here to help. And leveraging these COTS tools can be a big time saver and also money.
Okay, and there's another question that says, can these apps be incorporated into a federated system, which let's say maybe involves multiple jurisdictions, such as neighboring municipalities, regional or national agencies, and all with different and multiple stakeholders?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the idea. What we wanted to demonstrate today is, if a port deployed this type of solution, the licensing allows them to provide named users to any stakeholders that need to use the app in relation to the as long as it's for business related to the port, right? So maintaining a secure port, I can provide this app to my customs folks. I can provide it to my county sheriff, the hazmat at the city of Tampa. I could provide it to the Coast Guard, and then vice versa. These apps could be built out to support through collaboration. We could feed data to other systems at other partners. So if I wanted to link this to Hillsborough County EMS, or I wanted to link this app to something the Coast Guard's using, we could set up collaborations with ArcGIS Enterprise that connect the data and the apps and feed our data to their apps so that they can see the same situation we see.
Yeah, Terry, there's also great examples of, through our emergency response team and when an event happens, a lot of our customers use the Flex enterprise agreement so that they can easily expand their environment to those other entities. And that's an emergency situation, but go back to what Eric said. Yeah, it's designed for that.
So and actually those different stakeholders could actually be assigned different privileges within the system, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. Okay.
And it's all user-based, so they can see what's important to them and what they have access to, but they're not like a tenant with that ability isn't going to be able to see what's happening on the tenant next to them, try to spy on them or something like that.
Yeah. So this can be locked down to just the people that need to see it, and then your partners.
Right. And then another question about the authentication options, and is multi-factor authentication supported?
Absolutely.
So.
Absolutely. So for Sophia, I'm using built-in, the built-in user model, but yeah, my own user, I'm multi-factor. I have to use multi-factor authentication to log in, and that is absolutely supported. We support SAML, we support keys, security keys. I think they're PKI. We support a number of different authentication mechanisms, and multi-factor can be added on top of all that.
Yeah. So, and obviously for almost any port security system, these are critical issues. If you do have, really sort of, more additional questions really about Esri's security framework, please reach out, and we have any number of white papers, and we have any number of the different security certifications. So I'd be happy to kind of talk to you about that as well. So
Terry, one other thing too, I should mention, this whole solution, as I mentioned, is ArcGIS Enterprise, which means it can be deployed on premises. Now our deployment, the demo deployment that we have for the transportation team here at Esri, our deployment is actually in the Amazon, in the AWS cloud. So that your deployments can be done on premises in your building, or in the Azure cloud or AWS cloud, or wherever you see fit. So that's another component of this that you should add to just, this can sit behind the firewall if you want it to.
Okay. All right. Well, so I think we're coming to the end of the webinar. We do want to thank all of you for attending. Here's some additional resources, both ArcGIS for ports as well as for public safety. Again, the email address for both Matt and Eric. And certainly, again, we want to thank you for attending. We hope that you'll join on the next port webinar series. And with that, Matt and Eric, thanks, and thank all of you for attending. So again, bye-bye.